Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'd ask you please take your seats. We're going to start our program. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm Evan Forrester with Fox 43, and I'm pleased to be here tonight as your Master of Ceremonies this evening. On behalf of Fox 43, it's a pleasure to partner with the Four Chaplains Memorial of York County to help celebrate their 30th year with a live stream and broadcast tonight of this evening's great event. It is certainly my privilege to welcome everyone to this event, whether watching at home or present with us here this evening. For 30 years, it has been our tradition to honor the sacrifice of the four chaplains who served on the last voyage of the SS Dorchester, all of whom gave their lives for the sake of others. Here in York County, we remember especially Rabbi Alexander D. Good, who served in the York community prior to his assignment on the Dorchester and whose legacy continues to inspire us. The Four Chaplains Memorial of York County's founders, Alan Demachek and Gordon Frederick, chose to remember the sacrifice of the four chaplains with an annual prayer breakfast to raise funds to support scholarships. These scholarships were meant for the next generation of community leaders, particularly students that have come through the Alexander Good School. Your sponsorship and presence here tonight are what makes this possible, even more so in our 30th year. Thanks to your generosity, the Four Chaplains Memorial of York County and Travis Mills will host 350 York County high school students tomorrow morning to hear the message of service and sacrifice of the four chaplains and Travis's own story of resilience. We would like to take a moment to recognize the elected public servants who are with us tonight. Pennsylvania State Senator Kristen Phillips Hill, Pennsylvania State Senator Joe Pittman. By the way, Senator Pittman is a great-nephew of U.S. Army Private Robert Morris Pittman, one of the 674 men who perished on the Dorchester. Pennsylvania State Representative Seth Grove. Pennsylvania State Representative Mike Jones. Court of Common Pleas Judge Clyde Vetter. York County President Commissioner Julie Wheeler. District Attorney Dave Sunday. President Judge Maria Musty Cook. District Judge Linda Sweeney. York County Register of Wills Brian Tate, York County Clerk of Courts Dan Burns, York City President of Council Sandy Walker, representing Senator Pat Toomey is retired U.S. Army Colonel Bob D'Souza. Other distinguished public officials with us this evening include York City Police Commissioner Michael Muldrew, York City School Superintendent Dr. Andre Berry, and Principal of Alexander D. Good Elementary School, Kelly Kerner. Please a round of applause for our distinguished guests tonight. And last, but by no means least, would all the veterans present and past here this evening please stand to be recognized. Thank you so much for your continued service to our nation and your continued service to communities after your military service. It's now my pleasure to introduce our color guard from the Dallastown High School's Marine Corps Junior Reserve Officer Training Program. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're able, please stand for the presentation of the colors, our national anthem, and Pledge of Allegiance. Color guard, forward, march.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Rabbi Jeffrey Astrakhan of York's Temple Beth Israel is here tonight and will lead us in prayer. Rabbi?
Almighty source of life and light, we thank you for the many blessings which you have so graciously bestowed upon us. Among them, this opportunity to share fellowship and friendship and to recall the holy gift of life itself. How blessed we are to share together this 30th anniversary of our community's recognition of those immortal Four Chaplains. Tonight especially we call to mind Rabbi Alexander Good, the Reverend Clark Poling, Father John Washington, and the Reverend George Fox. Four men called to serve their country and called to share the values of their faith. Four men whose true heroism was displayed that fateful night in 1943. How blessed we are by our own Alan Damashek and Gordon Fryrick, the visionaries behind this annual commemoration. We are grateful to both of them for their passion and their commitment to honoring these men and wanting their story to remain part of our story. This evening, as we once again recall the selfless acts of saving lives, we offer our praise to the source of life, to the one who ensures that our chaplains and all those who have sacrificed themselves for the good of humanity rest arm in arm for all eternity. May we learn from their example and from the countless examples of those who put the needs of others before themselves. Let us always remember that spark of the divine that lives within, guiding us to make our world a better place for all. May the legacy of the immortal Four Chaplains continue to be a blessing and an inspiration for us and for all the generations yet to come. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Astrakhan. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up promptly at 6:45, I'll be pleased to introduce our keynote speaker, Travis Mills, along with some other very special guests. As our dinner service begins tonight, we have a special presentation from Pennsylvania Senators Kristen Phillips Hill and Joe Pittman this evening.
Good evening. I'm Kristen Phillips Hill, and I'm honored to represent the 28th Senatorial District in the Senate of Pennsylvania. And I have here this evening with me my dear friend, colleague, and relative of a gentleman who perished on the USAT Dorchester when it was torpedoed on that fateful night. In February of 2021, the Senate of Pennsylvania found itself in a very difficult situation. Quite frankly, we were having quite a difficult time getting along. Leadership staff came to me and said, "Senator, I'm just so very sorry, but we will not be able to pass your resolution today because we can't come to an agreement." And I said, "I'm very sorry to hear that, because the Four Chaplains, they mean so much to so many people in my district. But please know that I will be speaking during something we call petitions and remonstrances, P's and R's." They said, "Well, there's a long list of people to speak." And I said, "I understand, I'll wait." So as the debate got a little heated, it came my turn to speak. And I rose and I shared the story of the Four Chaplains. I told my colleagues that in York we find strength in the legacy of the Four Chaplains and Rabbi Alexander David Good, who, as we know, left that pulpit at Temple Beth Israel in 1942 to become an Army chaplain. And that each year we gather at the Four Chaplains Memorial of York County, their annual breakfast. And we commemorate and we honor the service and the sacrifice of the Four Chaplains. And that we honor local leaders, like we will this evening, who live their lives by the values of the Four Chaplains. And we provide scholarships to students from Alexander David Good Elementary School to help them pursue an education, a strong foundation for a life in which they can give of themselves for the betterment of others. I ended my remarks thanking my colleagues for the opportunity to remember the Four Chaplains, their service, their sacrifice, and their legacy. And something amazing happened. Every person who was scheduled to speak waved off, and debate ended. And many people came up and thanked me for those words. I thought it was pretty amazing that legacy of the Four Chaplains, it made a difference in the Senate of Pennsylvania. But I had noted that as I was speaking, my colleague, Senator Joe Pittman from Indiana County, his eyes never left me. And I went up to him afterwards and I said, "Thank you so much for staying." And he said, "My grandfather's brother was on the USAT Dorchester." And I said, Joe, I wish you had said something to me. I would have asked you to please join me. And so when this opportunity came, I thought, who better to invite to share in this celebration than Senator Joe Pittman of Indiana County.
Good evening. It's a deep honor to be here and share this special event with all of you. My friend and colleague, Senator Phillips Hill, described our relationship quite well as it relates to this citation and the resolution and being here today. As I said on the floor earlier this year, obviously I did not know my great uncle, but I did know my great grandmother, his mother. She lived to the ripe age of 100, and she never spoke of the family's sacrifice in World War II, which I find to be a fairly common occurrence. But as I said on the floor, the sacrifice that my great uncle and his family made at the time was actually quite an ordinary sacrifice in an extraordinary time. And I'm so impressed by this event, and as the Reverend gave his prayer, as he pointed out, we must always remember, we must never forget, and we must most importantly ensure that future generations truly understand that we should never have such sacrifices be ordinary in extraordinary times. And indeed, they need to be remembered and understood that those sacrifices are truly extraordinary. So it's an honor to be here. I truly thank Senator Phillips Hill for allowing me to come and share this evening with you. It's a great honor, and I thank you for what you're doing for future generations with this event this evening. God bless you all. Thank you.
And I too, on this momentous occasion, want to thank you all for assuring that the life, the service, the sacrifice, and the legacy of the Four Chaplains lives on. And with that, I am honored to join Senator Joe Pittman in presenting a Senate of Pennsylvania citation. And it reads, whereas the Four Chaplains Memorial of York County is being honored upon the momentous occasion of its 30th anniversary, and whereas for the past 30 years, the York community has gathered to honor the legacy of the Four Chaplains of the USAT Dorchester and York's own member of the Four Chaplains, Rabbi Alexander Good. It goes on to say that the Four Chaplains Memorial of York County organization started in the early 1990s, as we know, with a small committee of individuals with a mission to honor those four chaplains. And then it says, now therefore, the Senate of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania congratulates the Four Chaplains Memorial of York County upon its richly deserved recognition and extends warmest wishes for a future replete with ever-increasing success. I'm honored to present this citation to Terry Gendron on behalf of the Four Chaplains Memorial of York County.
There's a lot of having children, even though they don't have cancer, they have diabetes. It's concerning for them. They don't want to, so they need to have children. Now, my oldest son, out in Littlestown, he's a good Catholic boy. He's got 3 children.
There you go. Now, what are the ages of
16, 11, and 9. A girl and 2 girls. And then my wife, my current wife, we've been married.
say I'm tripping, daddy say I'm tripping. Put up, made me happy, made me fancy. Whole other reason throughout 4 seasons. Shining, yeah. Losing my mind. Hold on, hold on, baby. Hold on, hold on, baby. Slow me down, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. Say everything now that yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh. Boy, oh, don't feel bad for it. Can't be mad at it. Made me happy, made me fancy. Whole nother reason. Shining, 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 yeah. Shining, yeah. All this winning, losing my mind. Hold on, don't try to, don't try to slow me down. Yeah, yeah. All of this winning, 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 yeah. All of this winning, yeah. All of this winning.
Don't try to, hold on. Don't try to. Another one. One ain't enough, I need two. Ace with the deuce. Loving in the garden. Loving the party. Bought 2 Mercedes for the twin babies. Ooh, juice for the truth. I'm cool, so long as I alchemy with the house money. So I'm planning. Took a note, right. I took the song is right. Talking down when you were running right. Being headed when I got that from Kelly. Thank you for his last year. You might have to buy a palace.
Shining, 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 yeah. All this winning, losing my mind, losing my mind. Hold on, don't try to,
Don't
try to slow me down. Slow me down. get smarter. I'm not your number one. Yeah. We're there, having fun. You're giving all of your money and time. I'm not gonna sit wasting mine on you. Yeah, yeah. I'm done. Yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. Oh no. You're giving all of your money and time. I'm not gonna sit wasting mine. Yeah, yeah. I'm on to you. We're there, having fun. It's fun. You're giving all of your money and time. I'm not gonna sit wasting mine on you. Yeah, you. You're already all set. I'm done. You get done with your life, and I get on with my life. You're giving all of your money and time. I'm not gonna sit wasting mine on you. Yeah, you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this time we'd ask that you please take your seats so we can start our program. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Welcome back. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to introduce some special guests that have been sitting with our keynote speaker, Travis Mills, this evening as guests of honor. Seated with Travis are 3 York County veterans wounded in 3 different wars. Sergeant Phil Frim, United States Marine Corps, wounded once by mortar fire and once by small arms fire in Vietnam. Specialist William Kohler, United States Army, wounded by an improvised explosive device in Iraq. Corporal Adam Lanier, United States Marine Corps, wounded by sniper fire in Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen. Described as a recalibrated warrior, motivational speaker and actor, our keynote speaker tonight remains on the road to recovery after being critically injured during his 3rd tour of duty in Afghanistan with the Army's 82nd Airborne Division. Travis Mills lost portions of both arms and legs from an IED explosion, April 10th, 2012. Now, having recently celebrated his 10th year alive, he continues to share his experiences and dedication to living his life by his motto, never quit, never give up. Mills and his wife, Kelsey, founded the Travis Mills Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization that provides an all-expense, all-inclusive paid trip to Maine for post-9/11 injured veterans and their family members for a time to rest and build camaraderie with other veteran families. Further, Travis formed the Travis Mills Group, LLC, whereby he consults with and speaks to companies and organizations nationwide, inspiring all to overcome life's challenges and adversity. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a great York welcome to Staff Sergeant Travis Mills.
All right, thanks so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. I'll tell you what. Thank you, guys. It's a nice welcome. Have a seat. We got about 4 hours to get through. Don't worry, though. 3 hours is an interpretive dance. There is no intermission, but at the end of it, you'll get it. You will. No, I'm excited to be here. What a great introduction. That was lovely. When I met him earlier, he said, you know what I'm going to say when I get up there? I said, no, lay it on me. What are you thinking? He said, I'm going to go up there and say, what do you call a guy with no arms, no legs in the ocean? Bob. And I was like, wow. And he goes, yeah, but then I'm going to say, what do you call a guy with no arms and legs on the wall? Art. And the whole field. And then I'm going to say, here today, Travis Mills. He said, you get it? I'm like, yeah, but it's kind of offensive. Just kidding. I dared him to do it. He wouldn't do it, you winner. Look, knowing that we're all together here at this big event, it's wonderful. You guys all look lovely. You guys are probably like, man, Travis dressed like a bum tonight. I didn't. I wore my long sleeve, ladies and gentlemen. My buttons that do go up. Take these legs off, you got pants. You know what I mean? Business cash. Here's the thing. I want to be real with you. I'm a little bit nervous up here tonight. I just hope I don't bomb it, you know. Because last time, what happened? Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, come on. Just laugh at my jokes, okay? Here's the thing. All right, I enjoy what I get to do. I get to travel around, and I really start my presentations kind of about the same way with the same opening lines. It really sets the tone for how tonight's going to go. So right up front, number one, the first thing you need to know about me is, first thing you know about me is number one is that I am awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, lovely. Thank you. Number 2, I'm humble. In that order, I'm awesome, and then I'm humble. And we should be friends, right? We should be friends on a personal level even. I'm going to tell you a secret. You can take home and tell your friends and family that you met this guy, Travis Mills, and he had a secret to tell me, and now we're best friends. Here it goes. I don't wash my hands after I use the bathroom. I get it. COVID, you're supposed to. I just don't do it. Because I wash my hand. You see what I did there? Oh. Are you kidding me right meow? And I want to be real with you guys. I went to the doctor, right? And the doctor goes, man, Travis, you definitely put on that COVID-19, huh? Pounds. I said, thanks a lot, doc. He said, everything else checks out, though. You're very healthy except for one thing. I said, oh, my gosh, what could it be? He said, well, you're lactose intolerant. Because I lactose. You see, I tell jokes. I think it helps disarm the situation. Oh, man, knee slapper. I mean, if you got them. I don't, but if you do, go for it. All right, let's get this underway. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Travis Mills. I'm excited to be here. And on the screen right now, you will see my wonderful wife, Kelsey. Everything in my life at this point is going absolutely fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate that. I just got promoted to staff sergeant. We just bought a house, and our daughter was just born. And I have the absolute best wife in the world, and here's how I know it. No offense to any of the spouses. Here's how I know. My wife went through 14 hours of labor or something like that. I fell asleep for all of it. I was tired, whatever. But when I woke up and our daughter was born, the sweet angel came into the world, and we thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to name this sweet little, angel? And we thought Madison or Avery. And my wife, exhausted, looked up at me from the hospital bed, and with a heavy sigh was like, ugh. We have to name her Chloe Lynn, don't we? And I'm like, no, we don't have to. What makes you even think that? And she looked at me and she said, well, you're an idiot. And you already have your ex-girlfriend's name tattooed on your arm. I know. So, yeah. So we named her Chloe Lynn. And, I know. That's a lie, ladies and gentlemen. My ex-girlfriend's name's Michelle, and she's a terrible, terrible person. No, we're going to talk about her. Don't you worry about that. We're going to talk about her. So anyways, like I said, in that picture, everything is going fantastic. I'm not going to start the story there, no. I'm going to back it up a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm from a small town actually in Michigan, okay? And on the top left of your screen, you will see my mom and dad's favorite day in their whole entire lives. That is 1987, right? That's April 14th. And that is the day their favorite child was born. Me. And let me tell you the sequence, right? Because you see there's siblings. I have an older sister and I have a younger brother. You see, my sister was born first, and the doctors, told my mom and dad when she was born, oh, it's a girl. And my mom yelled, crap. And my dad said, not what we wanted, yelled at the doctors. So they went back to the drawing board. And then they had me. And these doctors could barely get the words out that I was born because they were weeping these massive tears of joy. My mom and dad at the same time, when they saw me, cried out, perfection. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the doctors put orange stuff on my forehead and they held me to the sky. And they played the circle of life. That's right. And then my parents got a little bit cocky, right? A little arrogant on their winning streak. They thought they could duplicate me. So then they had my brother, and when they saw him for the first time, they almost named him Daisy. For whoops-a-daisy, that did not go as planned. Now, growing up, I played a lot of sports, right? Football, basketball, baseball. I did powerlifting, and I did track. And I'm going to tell you right now, I still hold a junior high shot put record. I'm not trying to beat my own horn, but beep, beep, you know what I'm saying? And then I made it to varsity sports. I was varsity football and baseball and basketball captain of all the teams. And like some of you in this room, like when I met Mike over here, Mike, raise your hand in the corner. Raise your hand. When I met Mike, I knew a couple things about Mike right away. Number one, me and him have so much in common because he's a handsome gentleman. He's an astute businessman. And just like me, he peaked in high school. Yeah. The best days are so far behind him. I mean, look at him. It's sad, but true. Oh, Mikey. So anyways, No, I played sports, and check this out. I was actually pretty decent, right? I played linebacker. I was number 5. I'd make tackles. I'd throw them to the ground. And I'd get right in their face, like, your mom and dad never wanted you. You know, like I was one of the best trash talkers I know. And then I would run these look at this. You think he's getting, nope. Touchdown, Travis Mills. You know what I'm saying? Glory days, eh, Mikey? Oh. After high school, ladies and gentlemen, I had the choice to play football or baseball in college. I chose football. And I went to this small community college over in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I played a brand new position I never played. And I was good at it. See, in high school, I was a kicker, a punter, a fullback, and a linebacker. Yeah, but you see, in college, I played the sideline. Yeah, and how I know I was good at it, I stayed there all season. Yeah, that's how good I was at it. When I was in class one day, surprisingly, that I was there, I'll tell you what, Jeff, she's killing it for me. I appreciate you. Was it Kelly? Yeah, you're a champion. Thank you so much. So here's the thing. I was in class one day, and the baseball coach came down and got me out of class. Said, hey, Travis, I got your scouting report. Like, you're an all-state catcher. Like, you have a good batting average. How come you're not playing baseball? And I said, well, I chose football. And he said, well, my starting catcher broke his shoulder, and my backup actually transferred. I'd love to have you come play baseball for me. I have a starting spot. And here I am, ladies and gentlemen, 18 years old, living in my own apartment, 2.5 hours away from home. The dream of everybody. And I said, Coach, that's awesome. I'll tell you tomorrow. So I went back to my apartment. I called my girlfriend, who lived back in my hometown, and I told her all the great news. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. And then she said, but I thought you were going to move home for me. And I was like, well, why would I do that? And then she said, well, because I love you. And I went, oh, duh, that makes sense. So I went back to that baseball coach the next day and said, Coach, I can't play for you. I got to move home with my girlfriend. She says she loves me. Can you believe that man looked at me and said, that's stupid? I looked at him and I said, you're stupid. And I moved home. And wouldn't you know it, 2 weeks into me going back home, I met her boyfriend Colin by accident. Yeah. So I joined the military, and when I look back at my life, I'm like, how this happened? How to lose my arms and legs? It's her fault. So, I don't hold a grudge, though. I don't. I'm over it. Completely over it. But if she fell down a well, though, you know what I mean? Like, oh well, whatever. Like, we're moving on. But anyway, thank you. Thank you too both. You're crying. I love it. Hype it up. Here's the thing. So, no, college wasn't my thing. I wasn't doing very well in school anyways. So I went and talked to the recruiting station. And let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I narrowed it down. I narrowed it down to the Marines and the Army. And I went to that Marine recruiter, and this big, barrel-chested, bald-headed, 6'4" behemoth. He stands up when I walk in. He puffs his chest out. He looks at me. He looks dead at me. He's like, "You want to be a Marine?" And I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like, that's a little intense. I don't know. I said, "Tell me about it." He goes, "I'll put you in a career field." I said, "What? Sounds prestigious. Like, what's that mean?" He said, "Well, if you pick a job and you can't get it, I'll put you somewhere else." Oh, okay. So then I went next door to the Army's office, and I walk in, this Army recruiter's like, "Hey, man, you want to join the Army?" I said, "I don't know. Tell me about it." He goes, "I'll give you $24,000. I said, "What?" Hold that thought. I'm no dummy. I walk back to that Marine recruiter. I said, "Hey, what's your signing bonus?" He stands up again. He puffs his chest out again, ladies and gentlemen. He goes, "Honor, duty, respect." And I was like, "Yeah, I want that. Like, awesome, cool. I'm talking cash money." And this guy goes, "There's no money here." And I'm like, "What idiot would join that branch of service?" And we know them. They're called Marines. They don't get my jokes. Don't worry. They're not offended unless you explain them. So anyways, I'm just kidding, obviously. So I joined the Army, $24,000 signing bonus. Do you guys know where that money's at today? Me neither. So I go to basic training, right? And I go to airborne school. I learn how to jump out of airplanes. It's super easy. It's just gravity. You just got to fall. I guarantee you're going to come down. You know what I'm saying? And then I made it to Fort Bragg, home of the 82nd Airborne Division, greatest division ever known to mankind. Everybody knows that. And when I got there, the Army is like, "Hey, we're going to deploy you for 15 months. And I'm like, "Let's do this." I go overseas. I start lifting weights 3 hours a day, trying to mend that broken heart. And I meet this guy that's my medic, Josh Buck. And Josh Buck rides in the same truck as me. We hang out, and Me and my other guys, like, we're a really tight-knit team, and we go to lunch and dinner and breakfast together, and I know everything about this guy. He's married, right? He has his daughter being born in late September. He's going home for it. He works, he worked on a ranch and things like that. So he goes home on his R&R. And while he's at home, ladies and gentlemen, I got a MySpace friend request, right? Which is, you guys know what MySpace is. This group definitely does, okay? Yeah. You're my kind of people. Like tomorrow, I talk to those kids, and they're like, wait, what's this guy talking about? I'm like, it's way cooler, had a profile song and everything, whatever. Zuckerberg, messed you guys over. But here's the thing. So this girl sends me a MySpace friend request, and that picture pops up. You see the one on the screen there with the cowgirl hat on, the brown blouse, jean jacket? And I'm like, oh, I don't know her. That's a spam thing. I go to hit delete, though. And before I click the button to decline it or whatever, I realized that's the same last name as my medic. That's kind of weird. So I put on my Sherlock Holmes hat, right? A little super sleuth Travis Mills, did a little research and found out he told me everything about himself but one thing. He had an 18-year-old sister in college. Yeah, but lucky for me, she thinks I'm cute. But look at me. Can't blame her, you know what I'm saying? So I have a decision to make, ladies and gentlemen. Do I hit accept or do I hit decline? Right? And if there's one thing in life I'm super good at, it's actually antagonizing people. like for instance here, when I got injured in Afghanistan, my mom's by my bedside, and I look at my mom one day, I'm like, Mom, why'd this happen? And she looked at me and she's like, well, karma. She didn't really. My mom's just saying. I'm just kidding. I'm liking that you guys are having a good time. That's what matters. I keep looking at Terry, make sure he's not mad at me. That's all I care about. You know what I mean? All right. So I hit accept. Me and this young lady start chit-chatting, and she's 18, and she's in Texas, going to college, right, living with her parents. I'm 20 in Afghanistan, and we decide after talking for a couple months online, like we should probably meet up. And we're thinking, do we go to Michigan, where I'm from? Do we go to Texas, where she's from? We keep going back and forth where we're going to go. And then we decide, the only thing that makes sense, obviously, is we're going to book a trip to Cozumel, Mexico for a week. So we did that. Never met her before. I flew into her mom and dad's house. I knocked on the door, and her dad answers the door. He's looking up at me. His knees are trembling. He's real shaky. He's like, please don't hurt me, sir, And I'm like, I'm not going to hurt you, buddy. I gave him a noogie. I was like, I'm not going to hurt you, buddy, And he thanked me. He's like, thank you, sir. I said, now get out of here. I smacked him on the butt. And like away he went, And then that never happened that way. It's a complete lie. But you guys should know in the back of the room right now, standing there looking kind of angry, is my father-in-law. Mr. Craig Buck, thanks for not killing me, you champion. Give him a round of applause. This man deserves it. All right, so I meet her, right? We fly off to Cozumel, Mexico for a week, back to Michigan for a week. Everything's going great. Then I go back to Afghanistan. She flies back to Dallas. And on the way back to Afghanistan, ladies and gentlemen, I get held up in the Atlanta airport. And I'm like, hey, do you want to come back to Atlanta? She says, yes. I fly her back to Atlanta. You guys are very smart people. You see where $24,000 actually was going? Next morning, we're saying our goodbyes, right? And she's got these crocodile tears just streaming down her face, real heavy cry. And she's like, in between her sighs, right? She's like, I love you, And I'm like, I'm not going to lose my girlfriend I met 2 weeks ago. No way, So I threw it back at her. I love you, too. That's what you say in this situation. Yeah. And then between her heavy sighs and cries, she's like, I want to marry you, I'm like, what's the harm in that, So I threw it back at her. I want to marry you too. All of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, her tears dried up. There was 3 birds chirping the most beautiful song in the airport. Double rainbow across the sky. If you believe it or not, a unicorn shot out of the terminal. It was majestic. I strut my stuff right back to my airplane. I just verbal jujitsu the crap out of that conversation. I got back to Afghanistan 36 hours later and gave her a phone call. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And she got on the phone. She's like, guess what? I'm like, I don't know. I've been on an airplane. What? And she said, the wedding's planned. Oh, man. You guys thought the bomb was the only thing I didn't see coming. No, I saw it. I was like, what, early retirement? I'm in. So anyways, what do I got to do, right? She says we're getting married. Uh-oh. I go to Zales.com. I buy her a ring, obviously. I call her dad, make sure it's okay. Hey, man, you mind? He's like, no, we're cool. I was like, Air 5. To the phone. Come back, right? We get married. We get a big wedding. And then we get an apartment at Fort Bragg. And ladies and gentlemen, we got the apartment at Fort Bragg, and we got a dog. And here's the thing. I take every chance I get to brag about my dog. He's got a unique name, though. It's Yellow Lab. See if you guys can understand this. It's Buddy. And my dog's awesome. And everybody's always like, Travis, you want a service dog? And I'm like, no, I have a dog. And they're sitting there with me and my dog, and they look at me like, they're like, yeah, but don't you want like a dog that listens? And I take offense. I'm like, what are you talking about? Watch this. And I look at my dog, and I said, hey, Buddy, sit when you want. And that dog eventually, he'll sit down. It's crazy. Yeah. He gets barking. I'm like, stop barking, when you feel like it, He used to run off on me. We live on 20 acres in Maine. He used to run off on me, and I would call for him, and he can't talk. He's a dog, obviously, but if he could, he'd look back at me, and he's saying, like you're going to chase me, bro? And I'm not going to chase him. So I put an invisible fence in. You know what I'm saying? Got him. Yeah. And now when I have a bad day at work, like I just throw the ball over the fence. I mean, I'm kidding. I can't throw. What does that mean? I got a pitching machine. It works just as good, Talk about a stress relief, watching. So anyways, no, I don't do that. So we get the dog, we get the apartment, and everything's going great. And then I go back to Afghanistan for a year. Over there, this second time, a lot more firefights, threw some grenades. Went through, a couple massive, battles, if you will. And then on the way back home, I gave my wife a phone call on a typical day. Nothing special going on that day, and gave her a call. And it was near the end of my deployment, and I said, hey, what's going on? And she said, guess what? And I was like, oh, no, red flag. Last time I got married. And I was like, I don't know what, And she's like, I bought a house today. And I said, that's awesome. But, you're in college. You have no income. How did you buy a house today? And she said, well, okay, so do you remember that power of attorney that you signed? And I said, yeah, for banking. She goes, no, it's for anything. You bought a house today. So we bought a house. And then, 4 months after we got back, we found out we were going to have a baby. My daughter was born in late September of 2011. And I'll be honest with you, everything that time in my life was going absolutely great. The picture I showed you where my daughter was born, the house, the promotion, everything was awesome. And then my guys were going back to Afghanistan for the third trip. And the big army actually came down and said, hey, you don't need to go. You got over 2 years of combat experience. You can take this one off. We're going to restation you to Fort Hood, Texas. We're building another brigade. We need combat NCOs, and you can quite frankly sit this one out. And that sounds great, but for the people in service in the room, or maybe a first responder or somebody that's part of a really tight-knit group, you understand that can't happen. There was no way I was sitting this one out. My wife understood the calling and the brotherhood. And I went to my sergeant major and said, hey, I appreciate the fact that I can sit this one out, but I can't. And he understood that too, and he canceled my orders for me, and I went back to Afghanistan a third time. And I left in February of 2012, and the first day we were in country was a massive firefight. Second day was another big firefight, and third day was the same as the first two. We had a very intense area that we were in. And we got a phone call about a month and a half in. And you see, there was a village elder, and he asked us to come help him out, and it's pretty typical, pretty common. So we left our base, and we walked out, and we went on patrol. And on April 10th of 2012, we went out like any other patrol. We swept the ground not once but twice, always, to make sure it was secure. Marked all clear, took my backpack off, and I saw my backpack on the ground. 120-pound backpack hit the ground, and you see underneath it was actually a roadside bomb. When the bomb went off, it tore off my right arm, right leg automatically. It was instant. They never found those pieces of me, actually. I got thrown to the left side of my face, and when I rolled over on my back to see what happened, my right side was gone. My left leg was snapped through the bone, just muscle and tendon holding it on, and my left arm was blown out at the wrist. I still had used my thumb, index, and middle finger. So I hit the ground, roll over. I saw all of this going on. My medic, Dan Bateson, was on me. He had tourniquets on both sides of me. On both my right side. On my left side, my platoon sergeant put tourniquets on that side. So within 30 seconds, I had tourniquets on all 4 limbs. As they're working on me, I looked at my medic and said, Doc, you're not going to save me. Just go save my guys. Because in my line of work, unfortunately, I saw guys die for what I thought was a lot less injury. And I said, don't worry about it. It'll be over quick. And the only thing, as odd as this is going to sound, that was going through my head was the movie Saving Private Ryan. And the reason I say it might sound odd is because I kept seeing the scene where the medic gets shot in the stomach, and he cries out for his life. He begs not to die. He starts yelling for his mom, and ultimately in the movie scene, which it is a movie, I know, he dies. And I told myself, no matter what happens to me, I will never be that guy. Because I was always exuding confidence, leading from the front, first in a firefight and last out. I never showed fear. And I thought, whatever's going to happen right now is going to happen. So my last memories that I'm going to make with my men is not me crying out for my mom, not me begging not to die. But as I told them to leave me alone, they ignored it, and they worked on me. I reached out to my trucker mic on my chest, and I called my lieutenant, hey, 6, this is 4. I got guys injured, and I need your medic with mine. He sent over Doc Voice. Doc Voice worked on Brandon and Ryan, and then he worked on me. Within 10 minutes of Doc Voice getting over to me, the helicopter landed. They threw me on the helicopter, and away I went to the hospital. As I got to the hospital, and they pulled me out, and they pushed me down the hallway into surgery, I kept trying to sit up. And every time I get to my elbow, and I'd go to sit up, a nurse would push me down. And about the third or fourth time she did it, I looked at that nurse and said, hey, quit touching me, I'm fine. Leave me alone. I just got to get my feet back underneath me, and I got to get back to my guys. And the nurse looked at me and said, Sergeant Mills, I don't know how you're still awake right now, but you need to go to sleep. And she knocked me out. And as I was fading off, I looked at that nurse and I said, my little girl, am I ever going to see her again? Because she was 6 months old, and I had no idea. And then, ladies and gentlemen, 9 doctors and 7 nurses worked on me for 14 hours straight. 2 nurses for 9 hours took turns pumping air in and out of my lungs to keep me alive. I was given over 400 units of blood, which is the most blood ever given to anybody in Afghanistan. They actually ran out of blood in the blood bank that day for A positive and universal blood. So my nurses and my doctors were pulling blood from their veins, and people rushed to the hospital doors to give blood to me, which is incredible because they loosened up one tourniquet. When I get there, I bleed out in 2 minutes. But they stuck with me, and they worked on me for 14 hours. While this is all happening, my brother-in-law, Josh, who's in Afghanistan, a different part, gets a phone call about what happened. And I'm not sure how many people here have deployed in the room, but in the Army, when you deploy, you fill out paperwork called a blue book. And the blue book simply is you plan your funeral. I want to be buried here with this type of service, with this in my coffin, with this music playing, in this area of the United States. And the last thing is, who escorts your body home? And for me, it was going to be my brother-in-law. And if anything happened to my brother-in-law, I was escorting him back to his family. So the Army flew him in to Kandahar Hospital, but they got me stable but critical. I was a triple amputee that day. Both legs and my right arm were gone. 2 days after that, they flew us to Bagram, Afghanistan. And when they took me in for a washout and checked my injuries, they realized the skin on my left hand had died. They called it necrotized. So they cut my hand off, and I became a quadruple amputee. And 2 days after that, on April 14th, they flew me to Landstuhl, Germany. And they woke me up for the very first time. And you see, when I came to and I finally woke up in the room, the only person in the room was actually my brother-in-law, Josh. And I looked over at Josh, and the first thing out of my mouth was, my soldiers, how are my soldiers? It's always mission first. And he told me, Ryan's here. Brandon's back in Kandahar. You took most of the blast. They're going to be fine. I said, okay. And then I looked at him again. I said, Josh, am I paralyzed? And Josh said, no. I looked at him. I said, Josh, you don't got to lie to me. I can't feel my fingers and toes. Tell me the truth. Am I paralyzed? And he said, no, but you don't have them anymore. He had no other way to tell me, right? Just straight. And the only thing I said was, oh. And for 3 hours, I ignored everybody, doctors and nurses and Josh. They all had questions, but I had my own questions, right? I had questions like, am I a bad person? Does God hate me? What did I do wrong in life to deserve this? How can I still be a husband and a father? And the biggest question, that I had was, why didn't I just die? Like, how is this going to be better? And then after 3 hours, Josh finally chimed in, hey, man, look, I'm not going to pretend like I know what you're going through, but you got to call your wife and your parents. And I agreed. I said, yeah, you're right. Okay. So I called my wife, Kelsey. And when she answers, the only thing I said was, hey, what's up? I'm fine. Love you. Bye. And I had Josh hang the phone up. I didn't want to talk to her or deal with it. Called my parents, about the same conversation. I didn't want to have that conversation either. And before Josh hung the phone up, my mom yelled, hey, Travis, happy birthday. Because it was actually my 25th birthday that day. 3 days after that, ladies and gentlemen, I made it to Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland. And as they wheeled me towards the hospital, my wife comes running out to see me. And the doctors stop her and say, Mrs. Mills, your husband's right leg is ripped open. His sutures have split. And we have to cut 2 inches off his right leg, but we need your permission. You now are in charge of his medical care. So if you can put yourself in her shoes for a second. Here she is, 23, 6-month-old baby on her hip, not knowing what's going on with me until I got there. And the first thing she gets told is, hey, we have to cut your husband 2 inches higher on his right leg, but you have to sign for it. So they gave her the clipboard, and she looked at me, and she was nervous, and I just remember saying, hey, just sign it. It's okay. So she signed it. The next day on the 18th, when she came in the room, I talked to her. I said, look, this isn't what I want for you. I would never have chose for this to happen, and I would not want you to go through any of this. You can take the house and the cars and any money saved up. It's yours. Financially, whatever I have will be yours and Chloe's forever. But this isn't a life that you should have to live, me being a burden. And at 23 years old, she looked at me and she was a little bit puzzled and a little bit angry, and she said, that's not how this works. We're going to go ahead and get through this together. And then she said, besides, I'm pretty excited for handicap parking, you know? But in all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, I get the wonderful chance to travel around this great nation, talk about my, recovery and how I got better. And the truth is, I talk about motivation, goal setting, healthcare technology, as well as perspective. This is the only one that looks like a slideshow today. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you guys to sleep. But let's get right to it. So once I saw my wife was going to stay by my side, I was motivated to get better. And then my daughter, Chloe, comes in, right? My 6-month-old little girl comes in, and she lays on my chest, and she starts to laugh and giggle and play a little bit. And I'm like, how is she not afraid? I mean, I had a PICC line out of my neck, ladies and gentlemen. I had wound vac machines on my legs and all these, monitors on my chest. And then it dawns on me, oh my goodness, I literally look like every single toy she's ever been given. Think about it, right? Short arms, short legs, right? Fuzzy chest. I'm a teddy bear, But for these two, I'm going to get better. But how am I going to do it? Well, one day, ladies and gentlemen, a robot walked into my room. And the first thing out of his mouth was, hey, man, welcome to the club. And I looked at him and said, I don't want to be in your club. And he said, kind of late now, don't you think? I was like, oh, you got me there. He said, man, my name's Todd Nicely. I'm actually a retired Cobra from the Marine Corps. I am the second ever quadruple amputee. I saw your story, and I flew in from Missouri to let you know a few things. You're not a bad person. Nothing you did in life would ever make you deserve this, and sometimes bad things happen to good people. But you are in the best place for you. You will feed yourself. You will dress yourself. You will walk again and drive, and everything you wonder, how am I going to do that? Well, they're going to show you. And this is the absolute most fantastic place you could ever end up with these kind of injuries. And that day, two things went through my head, right? Number one, I'm not alone in this. I have somebody to lean on. He said that he was the second ever quadruple amputee from the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq to make it, and I'm the fourth. And he's somebody I can look up to. And the next thing went through my head was, it's probably really easy to get better. Because he's a Marine and he did it. You know what I mean? Like, how hard can it be? But anyways, then I had to start setting some goals, right? Once I had my motivation, I had to start setting some goals. So the first thing I want to be able to do, I wanted to be able to have a hand again. I wanted to learn how to open it and close it and rotate it. And I got my hand 5 weeks into my recovery, and I learned how to do all those things. And after I worked out with it, they let me take it home. I went to the Fisher House, and I dug into this delicious plate of lasagna, right, by myself. Took the fork in my hand, dug in, picked it up, said, this looks good. I put it in my mouth. I chewed it up. I swallowed it, and then, ladies and gentlemen, the camera cut out. And the next thing I said was, someone please give me some milk. This is so hot. It's burning my insides. I should not have took that bite. That really hurts. But 5 weeks in, I was able to start using a hand to dress myself, right, to feed myself, use the restroom, things like that. Now, on top of that, I decided I wanted to start walking again. So 7 weeks and 4 days into my recovery, I got the chance to put my legs out for the very first time at Walter Reed's Military Advanced Training Center, which is just an acronym, the MATC, but it's just a gym. But it's about as big as this room. And they said, hey, Travis, you'll probably walk, like 1 lap today. I said, no, I'm going to walk 3. And 27 laps in there makes a mile. So it wasn't like a track lap, but it was, it was long enough. And I put my legs on, I started to walk around this track, and I made it to lap 1, and then lap 2, and then lap 3. My legs were pulsating, felt like my feet were in cement. And it was very painful, but I was able to finish that 3rd lap and know that I was going to be okay and start walking just shy of 2 months. Now, when I called my mom and dad and I called my wife on my birthday, I didn't want to talk to them. I wanted nothing to do with that conversation. But I did tell my brother-in-law on that day, hey, call my unit. I got to talk to my guys. So Josh went ahead and called my unit in Afghanistan. And when they got through to him, I said, hey, guys, thank you for everything you did. I appreciate it. But just know I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. Because of your quick actions, I'm good. Because I had to have them stop worrying about me and start focusing back on the mission. So I called them, and then I let them know at the very end, I will be there when you get home from Afghanistan, on my tall legs, giving you a nice big hug and a salute. So I worked out for 3 hours that day. They were coming home just to get approved to take my legs out of the hospital. I drove 6.5 hours home, and I made it to my house in North Carolina, and then I made it to base a half hour before they got there. And the top left picture is a documentary reenactment, but the bottom right picture is actually that night me hugging Dan Bateson, saying, hey man, thanks so much for all you did. The medic that saved my life, welcoming him home and saying, you're the reason I'm able to stand here. So those are more of my short-term goals, right? So I had some long-term goals too, ladies and gentlemen. When I met Todd Nicely, he brought in the room 4 firemen from New York City. And they were part of the Tunnel to Towers 5K. And they said, hey, look, we do this 5K. It's a big benefit to, for 9/11 victims, as well as now we're moving into the military sector. We'd love to have you be a part of it. And I said, yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to walk that. And they said, well, if you can't walk, we'll push you, but make sure you come. I said, yep, I'll be there. So I went to New York City in late September, and I strapped my legs on, and I said, let me just see how far I can get. I only had my legs for like a week at that point. And I started to walk down the Brooklyn Battery Bridge, or tunnel, and I went through the tunnel, and my back started to hurt, right? I was drenched in sweat. My right leg was rubbing raw. And I thought, when I get out of this tunnel, I'm going to sit down. But when I came out of the tunnel, where I was going to sit down, I looked over to my left and my right, and there was 343 firefighters with 343 banners around their neck to represent the lives lost on 9/11 by the firefighters. And I thought, geez, if those brave men and women could go up and down those flights of stairs and ultimately give everything in that ruin and that rubble and perish, trying to save lives, I should be able to finish this last mile. So instead of sitting down and being pushed, I just went ahead and kept walking. I rubbed my right leg so bad I actually was bleeding in my liner. My back was killing me. I looked like I just got out of a swimming pool. I was so drenched in sweat. And then I got invited up on stage, and there was a band playing. You guys ever heard of Lieutenant Dan Band? You guys know who Gary Sinise is, right? No big deal. I'm like good friends with him. Like I could call him right now if I want. I'm not going to, but like I could. So, but anyways, he was playing. There's like 20,000 people deep listening, right? And I get up on stage, my back's kind of hurting, and all of a sudden this crowd's going wild. And I'm like, oh man, I'm starting to really feel the crowd. My back doesn't hurt that much anymore. I got my crutch in my left hand, my right arm, like waving, like, hey guys, be my friend. Be my friend. I hope they know what I'm doing, right? Because that looks weird enough. And then there's a cord running across stage, and my toe catches it, and down I go. So down I went, right? 20,000 people go, ooh. But luckily there was a bodyguard on stage, Brian, 6'7", literally my knight in shining armor, right? This big man just picks me up like a rag doll, and up I go, like whoop, up I go. Crowd goes wild. Brian has literally no idea how my legs work. Yeah, sets me down abruptly, and guess what? Down I went. The whole crowd, oh. But luckily, Brian was a very determined man, right? Not deterred by this. He picked me up again by the armpits, and up I went. Whoop, up I go. He gets me set, my wife's running around me in a circle like, don't drop him, don't drop him. I get my crutch set, get my leg set. Brian's like, are you good? I look back at Brian like, Brian, I'm good. He goes, all right, cool. Steps back, crowd goes wild. And this ogre of a man says, hey, buddy, we did it. Smacks me on the back. Yeah, drops me. The whole crowd started yelling mercy, and they threw cabbages. I mean, and I stood up, and I yelled freedom. I did. It's a Braveheart reference, but whatever. So I walked a 5K. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys come to the great state of Maine where I live at, and you're probably like, hey, Travis, if you're from Michigan, and your wife was in Texas, how'd you get to Maine? Well, she's from Maine originally. Let me just lay the table out here for you. She's from Maine originally, and I said, hey, Kels, when we get out of the hospital, how about we, go to Michigan? And she said, no, we're going to Maine. And I said, okay. And I said, hey, you want to go to Michigan? And she took my arm off. And then she hit me with it and said, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. Loopholes. I live in Maine. So here's the thing. If you guys come to the great state of Maine, right, just understand one thing. I drive. I'm like a terrible driver. This is a safety announcement for you guys. Because I rip around them roads. And I'll tell you what, a license for me nowadays, you know what it cost me? $450. $50 I failed, but you know what I'm saying? 400, I passed. I have 2 vehicles, right? I have a van and a truck. My van on the left side of the screen, the New Balance logo on the top picture is a little blue button on the door. That button does literally everything. It's the most amazing technology in the world. I drive that van without my legs on, no problem. My left eye hits that button. It beeps one time. That's a left horn. Or left horn. I don't know. I don't really drive that well. Whatever. No. I hold it for 1 beep, it's a left turn signal. 2 beeps and let off, it's the right. Hold it for 3 beeps, it's the horn. 4 is the dimmer switch. 5 is the windshield wipers. 6 and 7 are the windows, and 8 is cruise control, that one button. Now that picture on the bottom left of your screen is the great little box on my shoulder. That's my throttle. And let me check this out. So say my thumb up here is my throttle, right? And this is my right shoulder, and I just pull back on it, 2 inches. Vroom, vroom, 0 to 60. What? Like 18 seconds. It's a minivan, but I'm just saying it gets there. But that's how that's my throttle. If you push the brake, it's the other way. You push forward, that's the brake. If you guys ever take my van for a joyride, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you push too hard on the brake, emergency brake's gonna kick on, and you're gonna barrel roll. It's a horrible design, but it works. So I got my van, and I got my truck, right? And I got this big F-250 Platinum, and it's got 37s on it, and it's the dumbest thing I could have bought. But you know how they say pride comes before the fall? Here's what happened. The fall came first. I went to the lot with a salesman. I picked my leg up to get in, and I lost my balance. My butt wasn't tall enough, and I fell over on the ground. And the salesman goes, guess you're not buying that one. I'll take it. So I bought it. And then I put the 37s on it. Like what? And there's no calf muscles here. What an idiot. But I can drive. I take my daughter to gymnastics and my wife on our anniversaries and things like that. And, I'm very fortunate to be able to have that technology and just rip around the roads. And it's the best get out of jail free card you've ever seen. I get pulled over all the time. Oh, sorry, officer, my foot got stuck. What can they? I couldn't feel it. What can they say, right? Oh, okay. I'm like, you want to give me I got no arms and legs. You want to give me a ticket? My life's hard enough. Anyway. So, on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, my wife and I thought, you know what? We should be able to do something special. We should give back, and, that's something we felt very, very passionate about, just like why you're in this room tonight. We thought we can do something. And we started to give care packages overseas with a $5,000 donation from Kelsey and I. And it went really well the first time we did it for my service members that I had in my unit and their new units that they were in. And then I went on all these cool trips while I was at the hospital, right? I went whitewater rafting and horseback riding and downhill mountain biking and snowboarding. And this picture right here is downhill mountain bike. And what they did was they took me up a 9,000-foot mountain in Mount Crested Butte, Colorado. And then they cinched me to the seat, right? They just strapped me right into the seat. Couldn't get out if I wanted. They took my prosthetics and they duct taped them to the handlebars. Now I really couldn't get out if I wanted. And they put a helmet on my head, and I'm like, oh man, okay, cool. Like, now what? And the guy looked at me and goes, don't die. And I said, what? And he pushed me down a mountain. And I went 9 times that day. And when I looked around the room, I realized, you know what? I'm pretty fortunate to be injured so bad because I get to take my loved one with me, my non-medical assistant. Because I needed help getting my legs on. I still need help getting my legs on, to this day, and my arm on the right way. So I realized it was great to do this stuff, but I'm only doing this for my family. So my wife and I thought we can do better. So we went ahead and brought some families out to Maine and thought let's recreate these adaptive sports, but bring the whole families out. So you got the families here on the screen. You got Josh Wetzel from Auburn, Alabama, double leg amputee. My buddy Andrew Smith from Chattanooga, Tennessee, with a double leg amputation as well. You got myself, my buddy Taylor, who is the 5th and final so far. I hope it stays that way. Quadruple amputee from injuries. He lives in Iowa. Then you got a guy showed up at the door and was like, hey, knocking, hey, can I come in? And we're like, no. He's like, yeah, but I'm missing a leg. And we're like, no one cares about your paper cut. Go home. You know what I mean? Oh, when? He's from Ohio, so yeah, I don't respect him. He's a Buckeye. Ugh. You guys get it, right? No, I'm kidding. He's a great guy, Drew Mully. And we brought his families out, and it went really well. So we thought, this has some life to it. So we went ahead and bought a facility, and it was Elizabeth Arden's facility she built in 1929. It was in really bad disrepair. She was a cosmetic pioneer, one of the richest women in the world at the time when she built it. And we went ahead and renovated it for 2 years. And as we were renovating it, we opened officially in 2017. And now we bring out 8 families per week, all throughout the year. And we show them how to do things adaptively if they have, and everybody that comes has a physical injury. That's how we pick the families due to service. So it doesn't mean you got to be blown up. It means you could have, been in a car accident while you were in service. But we bring them up, show them a good time, and we tell them to live out the slogan of never give up, never quit. Always be active in your family and society, and to always keep pushing forward because life's not over, and there's a lot of things they can still do. We also, and this is important for this room, okay? This is important because not everybody out there knows someone like me, or these fine gentlemen in the front of the room here. We have a post-traumatic stress program called Warrior Path. We partner with Boulder Crest Foundation out of Virginia. It's one of the top in the nation. It's a train the trainer, no medical stuff. But we get a grant every year, so it's free for first responders and combat veterans to come up. So if you guys want to find out more about that, maybe you got a loved one going through something that falls in that category, go to the website, travismillsfoundation.org, sign them up. We have the funding. We'd love to have your loved ones, your friends, your family, if they need it, to come with us and go through this training. So anyways, that's my foundation that Kelsey and I started just because, you know what, we thought we should give back and do something. And honestly, that was my way to still serve. So it's going pretty well. We're looking forward to this summer, and it's just really exciting times that we get to have. All right, click it for me, Craig. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Healthcare technology, right here in the front row. Here, you've been looking at my legs all night, ma'am. I'm married, but that's the best I can give you because I am married. And she's a jealous type. But how my legs work, right? They have the short legs right there with the white shorts on that should pop up. Then they got the green shoelaces where you get taller legs that do nothing special. They just make you taller so you fall faster and harder. But then you get the ones I'm wearing now. The ones I'm wearing now are pretty awesome. They're called X3s. And the X3s have 4 distinct functions, right? They're little microprocessors. The first thing is they're little computers. So every time I make an adjustment with my weight shift, they make over 300 adjustments per second to keep me as upright as possible. I do still fall every now and then. Now, they're also Bluetooth. So when I drive my truck, my legs are Bluetooth. So my right leg, right, if you imagine my hand is my foot, my elbow is my knee in the scenario, right? Like I'm in walk mode right now. I hit that little Bluetooth remote, boom, drive mode, 25-degree angle, and I rip around like everybody else. Faster than everybody else usually, but whatever. The next thing is they're waterproof, which sounds awesome, right? Rainstorms, they don't bother me, but let's say I'm on my boat. Uh-oh, I've had 115 margaritas, whatever. And kerplunk, I fall over the side. This is 30 pounds taking me down to the bottom, right? Real sad story, I drowned. Uh-oh. What's the only silver lining, ladies and gentlemen, when they pull my body up? These legs get donated to somebody else. I'm more than an organ donor, you know what I'm saying? Doing my part. Doing my part. And the last thing is they have hydraulic brakes built into them, so when I go like down ramps, I don't go like bowling for people. Because like I go flying on airplanes like 150 days out of the year. And, you know, I have ways to slow myself down, but every now and then someone cuts me off, and I'm like, oh, you done messed up? And I'm like, I can't stop, and then wham, you know what I mean? And then this little 4-year-old's usually crying like, oh, you know, and I'm like, be better, dude. Like, the parents are mad. I'm like, it's your fault. It's parenting. Little turd cut me off, you know? But that's, I'm kidding. So that's my legs, right? Now my hand, right? The most important hand that I own is on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. That hand on the screen is called a greifer. That hand looks like a wood clamp, and it closes to 25 pounds of pressure, then it stops, it senses it, and then you can close it again at 35 pounds of pressure. And that hand legitimately sits in a Crown Royal bag on the top shelf of my closet. And you might say, like, well, why? Well, because my daughter's 10. You know what I mean? And in 6 years, her mom's going to make that mistake and let her go on her first date. And that hand's coming out to party. And, you know, I want to set this table for you, so here it is, right? I'm at my house. And here comes Johnny, right? And he's like, hey, bro. Johnny, strike 1, 25 pounds of pressure. He feels it. Ow, dude, that hurts. That's strike 3 in my book. I don't know how to count without fingers, so that's strike 3. And I'm like, 35 pounds of pressure, crunch. I break Johnny's hand. Yeah, he's really upset. He's like crying, let me go. And I don't let him go. I don't. I pull him in closer. I say, hey, Johnny, guess what? He's like, I don't know what. No fingerprints, bro. And then when he understands what I mean by that, I let him go. Now get out of my house, dude. So anyways, how my hand works, I need a hand model up here, and I can't think of anybody better than Jeffrey to come on up here. Get up here. Come here, you win. I talked to you about this, didn't I? Look at this chiseled chin right here. I'll tell you what, this guy, you work out like, what, 15 hours a day?
At least.
At least. Hop on this side. This guy, who needs insurance? Does anybody get there? Who needs commercial insurance, right? Commercial, hit up Jeffrey. All right, so Jeff, I want you to make a fist for me. How my hand works. I want your other hand, though. Put your hand, there you go. How my hand works is actually off muscle flexes in my forearm. So I want you to rev the engine on a moped. Ha, he rides mopeds. I knew it, and now you guys knew it. I knew it the whole time. No, so make a fist, and then the muscle right here, feel that muscle, flex it up, your hand up, feel that muscle? See that little circle in my arm? Yeah. It's a topical sensor, point it out. It tickles, quit it. So when I flex that muscle slow, it opens. So just rev the engine slow on a moped. There it is. But they need to hear it, though. In the back, no, too fast. When I flex that muscle slow, it opens. Now when I flex the muscle fast, hammer down that Vespa, Jeff. Well, I can't hear it. They can't hear it. Jeff is getting it tonight. I'll tell you what. Wind in his hair. So when I flex my muscle up here fast, it rotates around to the left, and it'll keep going as long as I want it to until I stop it. Now, flex your hand up, flex your hand down. Muscle down here, feel that? Mm-hmm. Circle right there, point it out. Nicely. Well, you're not even pointing. That's not a circle.
Circle?
No, that's not a circle. Look at the hole in the arm. The little hole, no. Right here? Yeah, whoa, geez.
I thought you wanted me to make a circle.
No, why would I want you to make a circle? That's like at the end of this, guys, I want a round of applause, okay? Yeah. All right, so when you make a fist and you flex it down, when I flex that muscle down slow, it closes, and down fast rotates, because I have those muscles still. My arm goes about right here. Now that's how my hand works, right? You did a great job. But there's also, no, don't move. You're going to like this, because I was picking on you earlier, and I feel bad, and let you do something cool. So there's also the dumbest thing ever, voice-activated technology. It makes literally no sense, but luckily the government wanted to try it out. So thanks for paying your taxes. And I have this voice-activated technology in my arm, stupidest thing ever, but check this out. All right, blue lights come on, and I can say open, close, and it goes 3 pounds of pressure. Then I can say turn. It only turns to the left. I don't know, I guess that makes sense. And then I say, like the magic word of stop. And then it, hold on. It's new, whatever. Okay, so then I say the magic word of stop. You piece of junk. Hold on. Stop. Okay. All right. Whatever. It works. So the problem is, what if I'm at I'm at a party and Jeff's mad at me because I just had him rev the engine on the moped and told all you guys who rides mopeds, and he sees me holding one of my margaritas. He's like, "Hey Travis, open the window." Thanks a lot, Jeff. Look what you just did to me. I dropped my margarita. Go ahead and give it a try. Try close.
Try close it?
No, you just say it.
Close.
No, but like
Close.
No, no. You can't mess it up. It's got to be a direct command.
Close.
Well, baritone soprano bass, so sound like a man, like less feminine. No, I'm just saying, like, puff your chest out. Like, I want this for you, Jeff.
Close.
You elongated it again.
Close.
No, like,
close.
watch.
Close.
Yes, you're wearing them. Okay. Close. Try turn. Like, turn.
Turn.
Everybody wants you to get this, Jeff. And
Turn.
so do I. Like,
Close.
turn. Like,
Turn.
think.
That's close.
You know what I just remembered?
What?
It's not voice act. That's a lie. I'm just lying. I'm lying. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a round of applause. My Van and White. Thanks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a round of applause. Thanks, Jeff. All right. So I got Peyton Manning with that joke one time, and ladies and gentlemen, I was so fired up because he came in, all bobbleheady and whatnot, You know what I'm saying, with his 5 head, you know what I'm saying? And he was there, and I was telling him all this stuff about how to do this, and he's like, "All right, let me try it." I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." He looks at me, looks at my arm, he gets a big grin, he goes, "Omaha," And I was like, "Oh, cool, man." Like, okay. He's like, "No, I'm going to do it really. I'm going to do it." I'm like, "All right, go for it, Peyton." He looks at my hand, looks at me again, he goes, "Omaha, set." And I look at Peyton Manning, I'm like, "Dude, you're an idiot." You know what Peyton Manning said to me? I'll never forget it. He goes, "Your arm doesn't work right now." You know what I mean? Nationwide. They're on your side. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a facade or a show I put on, and if you saw me somewhere else, I'd be any different. This is me. This is me because I realize that life's all about perspective. You see on the screen right now, you'll see 2 really great human beings that are no longer with us. Francis Jean Phillips IV was one of my closest friends in the military. We did 2 deployments together, and him and our buddy Justin and I were basically inseparable when we had time off. And on his 3rd deployment out of Fort Bliss, Texas, his truck hit a bomb, and everybody in the truck that day died. He left behind his 4-year-old daughter, Sophia, his wife, Christine, and all of his family and friends and his mom. And the thing is, I don't tell you that to make you sad or angry or upset. I tell you that because I realize how fortunate I actually am. I'm here with my daughter, celebrating her birthdays, taking her to gymnastics and soccer and basketball. His daughter would give anything for that. My wonderful wife and I are celebrating our 14th year of marriage this year. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. But you know what? His wife would give anything to have him in my situation. And his mom would give anything for just one more phone call that unfortunately she's not going to get. So for his sacrifice, and Brandon Goodine, a 19-year-old kid that got blown up, was a triple amputee, and they carried him on the stretcher to the helicopter, and he got hit again by a bomb. Lost his life and left behind a 7-month-old little girl. I keep pushing forward. I think personally it'd be a selfish slap in the face if I ever didn't truly take advantage of the days that I have because of what those brave men did for me out there on the battlefield, as well as the doctors and nurses. I got to meet 6 of the 9 doctors in Coronado, California. And they kept coming up to on my emails to my team and me and saying, hey, is Travis mad? Does Travis, act upset? Does he think this is a curse, not a blessing? And when I met him in person, I finally broke down and said, guys, hey, look, I am so grateful that you worked on me for 14 hours straight, that you believed my life mattered. You actually thought, instead of loosening this one tourniquet and going and eating dinner, I'm going to go ahead and work on this guy for 14 hours and give him a shot at life. So I keep pushing forward. And through my injuries and through all this, I've been able to do some pretty cool stuff, right? I have a documentary out. It's called Travis Soldier Story, 2014 GI Film Festival Award winner. The medics that saved my life, the guys that got injured with me, actually are in the documentary and acting everything. And are we going to play the trailer, Craig? And we are going to play the trailer. Okay, so let's check it out real quick.
We had a call that there was an IED threat in the area. We had to go check it out and see if there was one. We went out there as normal. It was supposed to be a pretty quick mission. Just a couple hours in the village right next to our strong point and back.
We were setting the gun in place. Fessy went first, swept the bank. He went up and down, cleared it. He got about 20 feet away from me. I said, okay. I took my bag off and set it down, and when I set it down, honestly, the first thing that kicked into my mind was, this is not real. This is fake.
I remember actually while we were working on him, one of the things he said was, I just want to be able to hold my little girl again.
Do you love your daddy?
Told him I'm getting out of here in 10 months. He kept saying, why? What's your big rush? I said, hey, Doc, look behind you. I had pictures of me and my wife and my daughter. I have a family. I live in a hospital bed. Get me out of here.
Yeah, him with Chloe, she doesn't care that her dad doesn't have arms and legs. It's her dad. So it's all she knows. It's all she knows of him. So to her, nothing was lost, the way I see it.
Seeing him stand up for the first time, I could feel so much joy from him. That was like a turning point for us.
I don't understand how he does it.
I think he's meant to lead and help people. He faces obstacles and he doesn't let anything stop him.
I believe God's got a plan for all of us. And after seeing Travis in action, the word bravery has more meaning to me now than it ever has.
All right, so that's my documentary trailer. It's available on Amazon, I believe. Right now it was on Netflix. I think it's coming back, but we'll see. On top of that, ladies and gentlemen, I wrote a book. Actually, Marcus Brotherton wrote it, and I put my name on it, said I did it. Like high school all over again. But anyways, it's a New York Times bestseller. I'm very proud of it. But the most important part to me is actually the author's note, because it'll tell you 2 things, right? Number 1, my problems don't outweigh anybody else's. And it might sound silly as I sit up here with no arms and legs and tell you that, but I think collectively in this room, we probably know somebody going through cancer. Somebody maybe had a car accident, unfortunate day at work, some financial struggles in our lives. And if my story can help them, please pass it along. I just want to be a positive light and let people know, hey, life's going to keep pushing forward, so you guys keep up with it. On top of that, it's going to tell you, you know what? I didn't serve any more than anybody else. I did nothing more brave or heroic, nothing I need to be put on a pedestal. So if you did serve, Air Force, Coast Guard, Navy, Army, and yes, those well-dressed, Marines, thank you for your service. I did nothing special to be put anywhere higher on a pedestal than anybody else that served. To the Vietnam era veterans, I apologize, I didn't put it in my book, but you know what? Welcome home. You never got it, but you deserved it. Welcome home. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my wife and I have been blessed. Not only do we have our 10-year-old daughter, but yes, we have another child named Dax. He is 4 years old. He is a super-duper champion, named after the medics, Daniel and Alexander, that saved my life that day. And I want you guys to know there are 2 life lessons I live by as my speech here wraps up and we get on with the rest of the events tonight. The first life lesson that I live by is don't dwell on the past. Just reminisce it. I used to sit in my hospital bed and I'd hope and I'd wish and I'd pray this never happened. And I'd always wonder, how can I wake up from this nightmare? But every time I did that and I opened my eyes back up, I was still in that hospital bed. So early on in my recovery, I realized, you know what? I'm not going to dwell on what happened. I'm going to reminisce the 25 years that I had with arms and legs. And as mentioned in the introduction, this past April was my 10-year mark of being injured. And they've been really incredible years. So I don't let the past and what happened get me down. I just reminisce and keep pushing. On top of that, I tell everybody, you know what? You can't always control your situation, but you can always control your attitude. My situation doesn't change. I wake up in my bed in Maine. I jump from my bed to my wheelchair. I get my arm off the charger. I go make my coffee. My wife and the kids, they all get up eventually, and they come out, and we go about our day because I'm in control of my attitude, and my situation will never dictate that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if I could please, Terry, can you come up here, if you don't mind? So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest in the room tonight, and if you look through the brochure, you probably know, but let me just do a little bit of an introduction. You see, in this room, you guys, on a school night, decided to come out and be part of this Four Chaplains dinner and gala. You guys took it upon yourself to be part of this community and to give back and to believe and do good things. And we all hope in the face of danger, we will do the right thing, that we will go towards the fire, even though our instincts will tell us to not. Our instincts will tell us, hey, you got to protect yourself. And this very tall, handsome gentleman, Yvonne Matthews, went into the fire. If you guys haven't read in your brochures what this man did, there was a robbery taking place. This father of 5 walked in and saw it, and he could have walked out. And instead, he decided he was going to take on the robber. He got shot 3 times, but he wrestled the gun away from the robber and saved the day. So with that, let's give him a round of applause. I'm going to have Terry take over. Great job. Is that okay? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you'll agree Mr. Matthews' selfish act of courage exemplifies the service and sacrifice of the Four Chaplains and the life-saving acts of heroism of Sailor Charles Walter David Jr. Yvonne?
Just tell a joke, it works.
Yeah. Well, I'm not as good as Travis, but I'm honored today for real to accept this award, and I just thank everybody for coming.
All right.
Javon, congratulations. Travis, had I known this was going to be the tone, I would have done the Bob joke. Thank you so much for sharing your inspiration, your heroism, your humor. We appreciate you being here tonight. Round of applause for Travis Mills.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
We do have a couple of gifts we'd like to present. Terry has a bottle of wine that's from the Four Chaplains Chapel of Philadelphia. It commemorates the 80th anniversary of the sinking of the Dorchester, February 3rd, 2023. And as Terry is telling him, you cannot drink it. Don't take it back to the table and pop a cork now. Wait till next year. The 80th anniversary, share with your wife next year.
You got it. Thank you so much.
And
I hope she gives me some, but putting up with me is not easy.
And from the local group, we have a print of the Four Chaplains mural that's painted on the side of the building on West Market Street, just a short distance from here. So we hope you'll enjoy that as we say thank you for joining us and being an inspiration and for your service to our country.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Have a great night. Am I out here? Okay, have a great night. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We have a few additional awards to share with you this evening. First, Ms. Jody Keller, the Scholarship Chair of the Four Chaplains Memorial of York County, is going to update us tonight on the annual scholarship and present this year's scholarship. Jody?
Thank you, Evan. Travis, where'd you go?
Taking my mic off. Sorry.
Thank you. I'm like thinking, I don't want to be the one up next after that. And I also want to say, I am so thrilled. My grandson will be here tomorrow at the breakfast, and I'll be crying again, and he'll be saying, oh my God, make me stop crying. But anyway, that's not why I'm here. So, good evening, everybody, and I really am happy to be here tonight. What a wonderful celebration of 30 years of honoring the four chaplains, including Alexander D. Good. Rabbi Good's name is familiar to families in York by the visibility of his name on an elementary school in the York City School District. In 2001, a decision was made to bring the story of the four chaplains to the students in York City School District. And this was by establishing a scholarship in Rabbi Good's name using the proceeds of the annual breakfast. The recipient of the scholarship is a student or students who attended Good School. The York City Dollars for Scholars works with us to determine who will receive that scholarship. 10 years later, in 2011, a group of very generous donors from the York business community established the Four Chaplains Scholarship Fund at the York County Community Foundation. And this scholarship fund has provided 1 or 2 scholarships annually to a student planning to continue his or her education post-graduation from one of the schools in, actually, in the York City School District or not. It says York City School District or student who attended Good. This year, we're very pleased to announce that one student will now begin receiving a 4-year scholarship paid in 4-year increments for each year the student remains in their program of study. We will have another student receive a 4-year scholarship each year going forward. So we're really excited to have this longer-term relationship with the students who receive the Four Chaplains Scholarship. I now want to ask our recipient this year, Ayanna Porter, and to come on up. There's information in your brochure about Ayanna, but let me just tell you a little bit about her. She currently attends the York County School of Technology. She's in their medical professions program this year. She's a Yorker born and raised. And so she now, before transferring to York Tech, she also was at the York Academy Regional Charter for middle school. So in August, she's going to be attending the Pennsylvania College of Technology for a 5-year BS/MS program to become a physician's assistant, which is a wonderful career. So Ayanna, Anna.
Just thank you to everybody who took the time to meet me tonight, and it was really nice to be a part of this opportunity for me and my family, and one of my head administrators here with me tonight. So just, thank you for the support and the opportunity to move forward in my career.
Thank you. Mom is here too. So, Mom, there's Mom. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jody. At this time, the Legion Honor Award Chair, Mr. Jeff Hines, himself a past honoree, is next, and he'll present 2 Legion of Honor Humanitarian Awards. Jeff?
Thank you, Evan. Travis, you didn't mention, you mentioned a couple of life lessons. And as Jody pointed out, one of the life lessons you all should know is never follow a comic quadriplegic. Hoo-ah. That's the attitude. Airborne all the way. The Legion of Honor Humanitarian Award is bestowed in recognition of a lifetime commitment to selfless service and social advancement that has demonstrably affected the quality of life in our community. Following 28 years of service in the United States Marine Corps, retired Colonel Joseph Innerst devoted himself to the development of York County youth to strengthen the family unit and provide well-rounded programs that meet the needs of young people. He formed the Marine Corps Junior Officer Training Corps Detachment at Dallastown High School in 2005, serving as the senior Marine instructor until 2019. He has served for 17 years as a lay leader and Sunday school teacher for adults and youth, and has been the Assistant Scoutmaster of Boy Scout Troop 284 for 23 years. Joe has devoted himself to youth athletics at all levels, both as a coach and game official for over 2 decades. He serves on numerous boards and committees, including the Dallastown Education Foundation, Jacobus Lions Club, the Central Pennsylvania Navy Parents Club. He is a past George Eiler Award for lifelong meritorious community service as a veteran, a former Marine of the Year of the 1st Capital Detachment Marine Corps League. Veteran Joe and his wife Diane, for let's never forget our military spouses, raised 2 sons, both graduating from the Navy Academy, and one serving in the Marines and one in the Navy. Joe Innerst's selfless service and devotion to our youth reflect honorably on the spirit of the Four Chaplains. Joe, come on over.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. You heard a lot about Marine attire, and I looked at Travis's attire, and I feel obligated, literally compelled, to donate my Marine Corps tie to Travis tonight as a futile attempt to upgrade his attire, so I'm going to do that at this time. He just asked me for my shirt and coat. I want to thank the board for this prestigious award. To even be mentioned in the same breath as the Four Chaplains is humbling, given their bravery and their courage and their tenacity and their faith. It's just an outstanding opportunity. And it's a great page in the history of York. And I'm so happy that the foundation, the board, revisits this history each and every year. That's outstanding. As a prelude to this, a number of people asked me, what about the award? And I said, do you know about the history of the Four Chaplains? And some didn't. So I mentioned the history, and they had the same reaction: chilling, sobering. And it's just an incredible story. I suspect that all of you in this room probably serve your community, your school, your church, your charitable organization in some way. And we don't do it for the accolades. We do it to build better citizens. And we do it to provide a better future for people. I want to tell you one quick story, if I could, about a blessing that I received. And it relates to Evan Forrester, that gentleman right over there. You might know him as a newscaster. He's been a newscaster for about 50 years. Can't imagine turning the TV on and not seeing Evan. Evan has a son, Garrett, and he was a member of our JRTC unit at Dallastown his senior year. Garrett decided that he wanted to apply to the Naval Academy. He had a very competitive package. He was an Eagle Scout. Academics were great SAT scores. When he was certified as an EMT, he was the youngest EMT in the state of Pennsylvania, and he was in outstanding physical condition. So he submitted the package. On the day he graduated from Dallastown High School, the Navy informed him that he was a non-select. And I remember him telling me that up at commencement, and I was crushed. I didn't let on, but I just, what are they thinking? And so what did Garrett do? Did he walk in a corner and go in a corner and say, woe is me 10 times? No. He went to a local college. He got straight A's. He upgraded his SAT scores. And he stayed in great physical condition and reapplied during his freshman year of college. Well, our JRTC unit was involved in a drill meet up in Boston, Massachusetts in January of that following year. So we were coming back by bus. It was a cold January morning at 1 a.m., and we pulled into the back lobby of our high school, and I see the entire Forrester family, Mom, Dad, Taylor, and Garrett, waiting at the back lobby doors. I thought, what are they trying to do, break in? And everybody was there but their pets. And so my interest was piqued, and I went down, and Garrett approached me. He said, I want you to know that I received my nomination and my appointment to the finest military academy in the United States, the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. And he went on to have a great tour there. He's in the pipeline to be a Navy pilot now, and he's serving our great country. Rick Maley, stand up, Rick. Major Rick Maley, United States Air Force, 2008 graduate. Rick told me at Dallastown High School this morning, in about 2 or 3 years, he's going to outrank me, and he probably will. That's why I serve. You get a lot of blessings. Thank you very much to the board. Appreciate it. And God bless our veterans. Support a veteran. Take care of them. Thank you very much. Thank you, buddy.
Of course, Travis, you got to know that he's a Marine, so when he buys a tie, it's already tied. Because no offense, Marines, we love you. The Legion of Honor Humanitarian Award. Genevieve Ray has spent her lifetime committed to selfless service and societal advancement that has demonstrably improved the quality of life in our community. Genevieve's passion for York, Pennsylvania started in the 1970s when she provided leadership in the cleanup of the Codorus Creek watershed after the devastation of Hurricane Agnes. Genevieve demonstrated her commitment and passion to this cause by moving into the blighted and flood-ravaged area. She was also instrumental in the recovery of a very polluted Codorus Creek, utilizing the Clean Water Act and civil actions that have greatly improved the water quality and aesthetics of this creek. However, these actions were only the beginning of her efforts. She then initiated efforts to organize the community to enhance the livability of the neighborhoods along the banks of the creek. Through Genevieve's efforts as an architect, as an architecture and planning consultant, a community organizer, a city councilwoman, and an untiring advocate for the environment, the creek and the community, she has clearly left her mark and made our part of the world a far better place than when she arrived. Like York's Rabbi Alexander D. Good, Genevieve always acted to bring people together from all races, ethnicity, social class, and faith. Genevieve was not only a woman with a vision, but also keenly focused on making sure that every member of society would have the opportunity to be heard, to consider all inputs, and to ensure that all involved had ownership in the decision-making process. Her most recent effort is the soon-to-be-constructed and the nation's only monument to the Articles of Confederation, which turned 13 separate colonies into the United States of America. In appreciation for her tireless work, a grateful community has awarded Genevieve Ray the Four Chaplains Lifetime Achievement Award. Genevieve.
I'll go get it. Kevin's going to bring her up.
Got it.
Good for you. Halfway there. We got you.
First.
I was riding in a friend's car, and she said, "Oh, I forgot to say congratulations." And I said, "For what?" She said, "For your award." What award? I really was stupefied and am grateful to all of you. I had hoped for a project that hundreds of people could rightly say, it couldn't have happened without me. And they mean it, and it made a difference to involve people seriously in a very difficult, long project. The Cadorce Creek remains a long project. There's more to come this year. It's going to change, and it's still going to be a good project. So thank you all for your involvement in it. And thanks to whoever put my name up for it. I don't understand why, but thank you.
Genevieve, congratulations. Colonel Innes, congratulations. I'm a little surprised. I did not know you were going to share that story. But it goes to the point that Joe was quite an influence in a lot of people's lives, and my son was just one of many. And just as Major White is now an influence on a number of the students at Dallastown right now. So, Joe, thank you for the kind words. I do appreciate it. Right now, Board President Terry Gendron has some closing remarks. Terry?
Happy 30th anniversary to the Four Chaplains Memorial of York County. Let me just take a couple of minutes for some thank yous before we close tonight. Congratulations to Ayanna on our first four-year scholarship. Remember that we set that up for 4 years so that we can have a relationship with you, and you're welcome back to our breakfast each year. We look forward to seeing you again. To Genevieve and Joe for joining the roles of distinguished members of our Legion of Honor, congratulations. A year ago, I took the reins from Reverend Glenn Miller at our breakfast, and I hinted that we were going to do something special for our 30th, and I think you'll agree we've done so. If members of the Board of Directors of the Four Chaplains Memorial of York would stand, I'd appreciate it to be recognized. Board of Directors, ladies and gentlemen. Regarding the 30th, special thanks to Nathan Leitner, ACNB Bank's Volunteer of the Year, Vice President Lou Laviton, for being the driving forces on board to celebrate our 30th. They've been thinking of this for a couple of years. Congratulations and thank you guys. To our sponsors, many of you who have supported us continuously since Alan and Gordon had that first prayer breakfast 30 years ago, thank you for your enduring support. To Greg Wolf and Wolf Printing, wow, thank you for all the support provided to us. And to Kayla Chandler for her graphic design work. A special thanks to the Scott and Tracy Wagner Family Foundation for their financial support for extraordinary expenses that you see here tonight. Their foundation took care of a large portion of the audiovisual from Stray Production Services. Thank you to John and Zach, along with a $5,000 contribution for our youth breakfast scholarships tomorrow, as well as air transportation for my favorite 82nd Airborne guy. Thank you to the anonymous donor who provided a challenge to all of us to match a $10,000 scholarship donation this year. Through Facebook and other donations, we've received an additional $3,200 towards that challenge. That booklet, the program that Elliot has in his hands, on the back of it, if you take a picture with your phone of that QR code, it'll take you right to our donate page. So we've got some ground to make up on that $10,000 challenge. I challenge you to support that cause. A special thanks to John Bailey and the Bailey family of companies for providing first-class ground transportation to Travis today for his visits to Fox 43 and our Veterans Memorial Gold Star Healing and Peace Garden. Travis, thank you for your time at the Peace Garden today. They're also taking care of ground transportation for Travis tomorrow out to the York Airport. Thank you to photography by Jim Phipps. He's been everywhere this evening. Jim will be here after the program tonight for pictures, and we'll cover our youth breakfast tomorrow. Brady Pappas from our York Media stepped in to shoot the VIP reception this evening. Thank you very much, Brady. And finally, thank you to Taryn Blake Events for coordinating the thousands of moving pieces that these events comprise. We're not done with our 30th anniversary. Tomorrow morning, 350 students from local high schools will join us for a youth breakfast and hear the story of selfless service of the Four Chaplains and the message of resilience of Travis Mills. Travis, thank you for staying with us for an extra day to help carry these messages to our youth. In closing, we set out to do three things this year. First, raise awareness of our organization and the message of the Four Chaplains. With 14 new sponsors this year, our partnerships with Fox 43 and our York Media, I believe we've accomplished that goal. Second, we wanted to make a firm pivot towards carrying the message of the Four Chaplains to our youth, and our youth breakfast tomorrow is a great beginning for that. Thank you to board member Barry Freeland for arranging sessions for us with Dr. Andrea Berry and with students at William Penn, Logos Academy, Crispus Attucks Charter School, and York Academy. Thank you to board members J.T. Hand and John O'Connor for connecting with our JROTC detachments throughout York County. Third, as I've mentioned, we want to maintain relationships with our scholarship winners, and by all means, we intend to do that with you, Ayanna. There's one visitor here tonight that was not recognized. We weren't certain that he was going to come. Paul Freed, if you could stand or raise your hand, Paul. He is the son-in-law of Rabbi Good. Came in through the back door. Hey, I'll close with the spirit of the Four Chaplains written 11 years ago when 5 people established the York County Community Foundation Scholarship Endowment. The spirit of the Four Chaplains is a simple truth, that a community of diverse men and women, leading by example, can come together for a purpose greater than themselves. Thank you all very much for coming. Evan, if you could take us out.
Thank you, Terry. Retired U.S. Army Chaplain Colonel Hank Steinhilber will lead us in the benediction.
As we depart this evening, in awe, excuse me, and inspired by Travis, we ask the Lord to go with him and also with us. And so may the Lord bless us and keep us. May the Lord make his face shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May the Lord turn his face toward us and give us his peace. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the retiring of the colors and taps? Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our 30th anniversary gala. We appreciate your attendance tonight. Please feel free to stay for photographs with Jim Phipps Photography. Drive safely. Have a good night.